Love to heal a nation is the greatest power. A wind of destruction is blowing over this land. And now the earth is trembling with man's oppression of man. Now the time comes to sit down and rediscover what's life. Show the world the true meaning of real love, power, not strife. Bring down the power of love, I say. The power of love, I say, is the greatest power. Stop hell and damnation. Love to heal a nation. Put our hands on the fire and cleanse the wicked right now. All of them who does worship, greed and vanity must bow. Unity is the banner, so come together, I say. And this love is for freedom, it's growing stronger each day. Bring down the power of love, I say. The power of love, I say, is the greatest power. Stop hell and damnation. Love to heal a nation. So rejoice in a rhythm of celebration. Come on. Lift your voice with a feeling of satisfaction as one. And let we move with a purpose, all freedom lovers. Hold tight. Stepping out of the darkness with one direction inside. Bring down the power of love, I say. The power of love, I say, is the greatest power. Stop hell and damnation. Love to heal a nation. Bring down the power of love, I say. The power of love, I say. Stop hell and damnation.
Ashe, Hotep, Ekaro, and greetings all. Welcome to the Anu Asafo show, where Pan-Africanism meets African traditional spirituality with your host, Brother Wole Mango Ifa, and my co-host,
Sister Omilade. And this week we are pleased to have another educational and entertaining episode of the new Asafo show lined up for you.
But first, as always, here is the African pledge, Sister Omilade.
We are an African people. We will remember the humanity, glory, and suffering of our ancestors. We will honor the struggles of our elders. We will strive to bring new values and new rights for our people. We will have peace and harmony among ourselves. We will be loving, sharing, and creative. We will work, study, and listen so we may learn, and learn so we may teach. We will cultivate self-reliance. We will struggle to resurrect and unify our homeland. We will raise many children for our nation. We will have discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will live as models to provide new directions for our people. We will be free and self-determining. We are an African people, and we will win, and we will win, and we will win. Asheo and Hotep.
Yes.
Thank you guys. Just for a really quick relay, I wanted to kind of thank everybody for tuning in this week, and just reminder to anybody in the New York area, if you are here, we are actually in Brooklyn. I'm actually broadcasting from Brooklyn today at Nicholas Bookstore, where our Chief Jagna Haruya Sananu will be giving a talk on self-actualization. So if you're in New York, you should come out.
Jay, and you preempted me on that. I wanted to let everybody know that you are live and on location, so our communication between each other may be a little different today. But today, however, we have a very special show, as always. This week, our show features the notion of childbirth and nurturing in honor of the Orisha Yemaya. We have two segments. First, we're going to be talking to a fascinating filmmaker by the name of Afrykan Moon. And then in our second segment, we're going to move forward and continue with a panel of midwives and doulas talking to us in depth about the process of childbirth, the miracle in which it is, and how the past is brought forth into the present and the future. So we're very excited about that. First, we'd like to give honor to the Orisha Yemoya. Yemoya, mother of the fish, mother of the waters of the earth, nurture me, my mother, protect and guide us. Like the waves of the ocean, wash away the trials that we bear. Grant me children, grant us peace. Let not the evil witches devour us. Let not the evil people destroy us. Yemoya, mother of us all, nurture me, my mother. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Our panel members are comprised of Sister Sula Janet Evans, Sister Nicole Deggins, and Sister Sakina Uhud. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Yes.
Brother, this is Nicole. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And welcome. Sister Iyasula, are you there?
Yes, Sula, and I'm here, and I can hear you as well, my brother.
Fantastic. And of course, Sakina, are you in? Are you in the house?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We have it's a heavyweight panel today, and what's interesting is everybody hails from an area that starts with the word new. New Yorker, New Jerseyan, New Orleanian, but right now the New Orleans area seems to be coming out top. We have two people coming from New Orleans today. We want to, well, I guess it would make sense for us to give a quick introduction of everybody. So why don't we work in order of Iyasula, and then go to Sister Nicole, and then finally Sister Sakina. And would you give us a short background on yourselves and how you come to this spiritual occupation? Sister Sula?
Yes, brother. Sula, they call me Sula. And I'm the birth doula here in the New Orleans area. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I hail up north and send love to my beautiful northern brothers and sisters there. I am a birth doula here in New Orleans. I've been living in New Orleans for the past 18 years, and the Great Mother, the Blessed Mother, the Holy Mother brought me into this work. It really wasn't something I personally pursued. but it was something that the mothers put into my crown. So I was really honored to pick the crown up, and so in 2004. In 2005, I was brought into this work, and interestingly enough, just as many healers birth through illness, I came into this work and was birthed into my medicine work through illness, but it turned out to be my greatest victory. And so we give thanks and praise to the Holy Mothers who brought me into this work.
Ashe. Sister Nicole, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure, no problem. Peace, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I am Nicole Deggins. I'm a nurse midwife. I came into midwifery work by way of being a nurse on the labor and delivery unit and in an inner city hospital here in New Orleans. And I remember many days feeling like something was going wrong in the hospital. Something was not right with the way that we were bringing babies into this world. I didn't like it. I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew that something wasn't quite right. And I had the opportunity to experience the birth of a midwife. And I realized that that was where I needed to begin to move myself into the midwifery arena. So I became a nurse midwife. I went to Emory University in Atlanta, graduated in 1999, and my entire nursing career and career in midwifery really has been around women's health and women's empowerment. And now I have had a lot of experience. Most of my experience has been as a labor and delivery nurse, but once a midwife, always a midwife. So even as I worked as a nurse, clinically, I always thought, and physically and spiritually, I always thought and worked with moms that I worked with as a midwife. And over the course of like almost 18 years now, I began to really experience birth all across the country and really have come to see that everywhere women are being misused and mistreated and birth is not being respected the way it should be. So I am currently on a mission to just really raise awareness to in our community, particularly about what's happening and what we can do to stop what's happening so that we can have better, more empowering, more holistic, more spiritual birth experiences.
Shema. And Sister Sakina.
Greetings to you all. This is Sakina Oyuhuru, and I am a certified midwife. I'm licensed to practice in both New York and New Jersey, and I have a home birth practice that's been alive and kicking for about 10 years, and been practicing midwifery for 17 years. Graduated with a master's degree in 1997 from SUNY Downstate Midwifery Program, and I honestly feel like I was spiritually and ancestrally led to this profession. Gain a great amount of satisfaction helping women to have a more organic labor and birth experience, a more dignified labor and birth experience, and I am so committed to helping women realize their potential and their power, and I'm happy to be here today.
Ashe. And I, like everyone listening to this program, entered into this world, this third dimension, through the womb of a woman. And while this fact is common and normal, the truth is that most of us are taught through, especially in the New World, we're taught to disrespect that path, that spiritual path of evolution. And like you said, Sister Nicole, the women who birth us, we tend to be taught to disrespect them. The system disrespects them, and nor do we respect the process of childbirth, which I was blessed to have a chance to speak to Sister Nicole in some length before this interview, and she talked to me about how childbirth is a family. It should be a family experience. That means that not just women or the woman giving birth or the women in the family, but we all, including us men, have a vital role to play in that process. And we, I, for one, am very interested in learning more about that, and I'm sure the other men are too. But before we get started, I just wanted to point out that I've mispronounced Sister Sakina's last name. It's Uhura. So that's
right.
with a comma, a mark on it, and then Uhura. And I also wanted to point out that Sister Nicole also teaches the art and practice of midwifery. I know with her students, and I want to thank you for that.
I actually, just a correction, I actually do teaching for women to be birth sisters, to be doulas. Not midwifery teaching, but birth sister doula training.
I see. Thanks for that correction. And Sister Sula, I want to let everybody know, from now on will be called Iya Sula because she is a priestess in one of the African traditional spiritual systems, the system of Afrykan. So if Iya Sula wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about that spiritual journey, because this show is dedicated to Yemaya and the African traditional system. And then we want to swing back around to Sister Nicole and ask her to tell us something about her formal educational background. And then we'll go from there and keep going. Okay? Iya Sula, please.
Yes, well, I just want to say, brother, I appreciate the respect of the title, but I really don't even get into the title at all, because I feel that I will always be an eternal daughter. I am a priest of Mami Wata and a daughter of all the Orisha. But Sula the Doula is what most people know me as, and I really don't talk much about the initiation because I'm clear that I've been a daughter since I was born. But as far as my work in the doula field, I have to say that it was the great mothers who brought me to this throne and to this place, to this work. It was really through my need or my desire to help a friend. A friend asked me to be her doula, and I said I would be her doula, not really knowing what it was, just knowing that it meant assisting a sister during birth. I didn't really understand the fullness of it. As I began to move into this work, it's when the Blessed Mother, the Holy Mother, Yemaya, Mami Wata, all of the mothers came to me and said, we must return to the sacred village. We must return birthing to the sacred space. We must return the sacred songs to the village. So, in my personal work, I've been told that is my assignment, to bring the sacred songs back. So when women birth, I sing to Yemaya. There's sisters that work in the collective, in a collective way with me, in the Zaya Doula collective. We sing to the mother. We sing to the baby. We bless their ovary. We pray for the baby. We give thanks and we celebrate the entrance of this life. And so for me and my work, I was told that was what my concentration needed to be. So I'm resurrecting the notion of having village births, of having the entire family participate, the entire family knowing about pressure point pain management, the entire family, perhaps setting up a shrine or setting up things or having the ancestors present, encouraging people to bring their ancestral pictures to the birth rooms, and really birthing in a more sacred and really bringing it back to Africa in the way that we all birthed then. And I just want to say that last year I had the pleasure of having a birth assignment in Ghana, in the northern part of Ghana. And so much of those traditions have been lost even in Africa. You don't really hear the songs that you used to hear. It's become very clinical there as well. So the mother is speaking. And as we know, this is the season of the great mother. The Blessed Mother is rising and speaking to all of us. So we must hear the call and bring that sacred voice back to the birth rooms. And that is really my holy assignment. And that is what my work really concentrates on.
Ashe, and we thank you for the work that you've been doing, the work that you continue to do, and your humbleness and modesty in the process. So, now, Sister Nicole, I wanted you to just touch on, if you would, before we got really deep into the philosophy of childbirth. Just let the audience know something about your academic credentials and formal educational background, so we'll know more about who's advising us, please.
Okay, no problem. So my journey into this work started at Georgetown University in nursing school. I became a registered nurse, got my bachelor's in nursing back in 1994. And as I mentioned, I was working at this hospital here in New Orleans, wanted to see something different happen, and became a midwife by going to Emory University in Atlanta. While I was in Atlanta at Emory, I did a double degree. So I got my master's in nursing from the nursing school and my master's in public health from the public health school. So inside of that nursing master's degree, my major, if you will, was midwifery. And then inside of the public health school, my major, if you will, was policy and management. The beautiful thing about all of that is that as much as for some people and in some communities, she went to this school and got all these degrees and these letters and all of that stuff, the beautiful thing is that midwifery is a lifelong learning journey. So that was my initial training in midwifery, and today I find myself really coming full circle and learning more and doing a self-study now to become more adept and more knowledgeable about home birth, and now being able to combine the education and information that I gained from that master's program with the information and the education that I'm now getting from reading, from participating in calls and listening and learning from some of the elder midwives. It's a wonderful combination. So I think it's really great that I did do the path that I did. That was what I needed to do for me at that time. And I think what's even most phenomenal is that the learning never stops, and we are eternal students. And so that now I'm able to come full circle and really begin to learn a whole nother experience with the art of midwifery.
Ashe, and thank you. Nice to know that the future seems very bright, because we have young sisters like yourself, young by my standards at least, coming forward and learning, and you're talking about being a lifetime student. That is certainly true. That's certainly true in life in general. And, we have a powerhouse panel here today, so I'm not going to keep rambling. I'll be quiet and let you all talk. Sister Sakina, I want to ask you a quick question. Are you a doula as well as a midwife as well?
No, I am not a doula. I am a licensed midwife. I practiced maternal child health for the last 28 years. 1986, I graduated from the School of Physician Assistant, Harlem Hospital City College. So I do hold that degree, but primarily practice as a home birth midwife. That brings me the greatest amount of joy and satisfaction. So,
and I just asked you that because what I want to do is try to talk about the role of the doula first, and then get into the role of the midwife, and then get into how the two interact. So we will not forget you there, Sister Sakina, but at first we're going to talk to Sula and Sister Nicole, who are both also doulas. And I want to first ask the simple question, what is a doula, and how does it differ from a midwife? And ask you, Iya, to start, and Sister Nicole to jump in as you would like. And I'll keep quiet.
Okay. A doula, in technical terms, is a labor support coach, or as perhaps you might want to say, a sister or a support sister during labor. But a labor support coach basically is non-medical, so they differ from the midwife in that way. And Sister Nicole will certainly speak more about that. My sister will speak more about that. But as far as the role of a doula is really in place to coach a woman and encourage a woman to have as natural as a labor as possible, but also to ride the waves of the contractions. I call the contractions waves because that's really what they are. So we come and we teach sisters, we remind them about breathing. We perhaps use pressure pain management techniques on their body that will lessen the contraction and allow them to ride the wave of it until the next one comes. And as the wave peaks, then we help them. We peak with them, and then we come down. And so it's I see it again in the waters of Yamaya as riding the waves of contractions, and we help them ride those waves. And so it's our job to help the mother, but it's also our job to be an advocate for the mother. It's our job to be a spiritual bridge, if you will, of love for families. Sometimes you have women that go into labor and their families might be fractured, or their relationship with their mother might not be so positive, or sometimes in our community you might have a woman that's working by herself who has no one there. So it's a very, very highly spiritual role as well, because we come to be support and serve in the space of mother. And so it's many, many different aspects of being a doula, but it really is about teaching the village in ways that will best support mother, because mother and baby is our primary concern.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just add to that in terms of, this is Nicole, in terms of playing a dual role as midwife/doula. The politics of midwifery are very interesting across this country. Those of you who have experience in that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I moved home to Louisiana some years ago, I was unable, you've heard Sister Sakina mention that she's a licensed midwife, licensed in both New Jersey and in New York. And so here I sit in a state that has made it very difficult for me at this moment to be licensed as a midwife. Interim, I work in the role of as a doula for some women, because that is kind of where the legalities and the laws have me kind of strapped between a rock and a hard place at this time. The one thing, though, that is a little different, because I am a midwife, is that I do extra things that a doula may not even do, even during prenatal time. So as an example, I had a home visit yesterday with the mom, and if you had observed that home visit as an outsider, you would have thought it was a home visit and she and I were going to do a home birth together. You know, we did a whole screening, and we talked, and we palpated the baby and listened to the baby's heart rate using the stethoscope and those sorts of things. So even when I do my doula work, I bring to it my midwifery skills and knowledge base. So one of the biggest differences is that clinical piece that Sister Sula mentioned, that the doula does not necessarily have. And some doulas do have that information and do have that skill set, but largely they don't, and they will do emotional, physical, educational support to a mom, to her family, to the community. And the midwife is going to add a clinical component where she's doing surveillance, making sure that your baby is growing appropriately, your weight gain, your nutrition, all those different types of conversations. And one thing I'd like to just kind of backtrack for a hot second and talk about this word doula. I think it's very important for us, particularly as Black people, to understand that the real root of this word, we have come to, in America, change the word to mean a birth helper or birth support or labor support or woman's helper in labor and what have you. But the true history of the word, it is rooted in a Greek word which means female slave or female servant. So I am personally on a mission to begin to phase the word out of our communication realm, because I don't want to use a word that resonates with the same thing as anything that is associated with slavery or a slave. So I've begun slowly incorporating birth sister into my conversation and into my languages, and really continuing to look for something that really resonates with me completely to begin to use the word. And the reality is, in our community, so many sisters don't know what a quote doula is anyway. So when we use the term, we always find ourselves having to explain to them what it is. And so I say, let's throw the word out and let's find a word that means what we really want it to mean, and that resonates on a whole different level and has a different vibration than slave. So that's just one little side note that I want to put out there.
Thanks for that.
Sure, sister, go ahead.
No, I just say give thanks for that, Mother, because that's an education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to say that's an excellent idea, sister, and let me suggest that we look to West African traditional culture to find a more correct term. And I would urge you to talk to Iyasula about that, because I know that's her area. That's an area in which she is coming from, if I'm right. Sister Sakina, let's talk about the birth. Now, it's a long 9-month process, but I know that towards the time that the child is due, there's certain things that a mother should do to prepare for the birth, for the actual birth itself. Would you just give us some general information on some of the prenatal care that a mother should experience in general through the process, and then when it gets close to the actual birth itself, some of the things that need to be considered, and then I'll bring in the other sisters and they'll elaborate on it.
Sure. Well, let me just say this. Firstly, in continuing to talk about the role of a doula, I myself work in concert with doulas. It's a requirement for my clients to hire a doula with every labor and birth journey. You have to have a doula present. So doulas are very critical in my practice. And having said that, our roles cross one another. As a midwife, you're always giving labor support. You're always nurturing the mother, father, and family. So having said that, I want to just echo what the other two sisters have said, but I also want to add that doulas' roles are vitally important in my practice, particularly in the labor and birth process. And I applaud you, Nicole, for trying to change the word doula, because it's critical that we are defining words for ourselves. And I know that, it does connotate a negative connotation to the word, because I heard that it means footstool as well. So even that's negative in this connotation. But just to answer you in terms of prep work, for me, I think that care is very individualized. I certainly can tell you that, of course, all women are monitored in terms of fetal height, the growth of the baby, the heartbeat, the blood pressure, and in terms of lab work. But the most important thing is establishing a trusting relationship with your client and getting to know your client not only as a pregnant woman, but what does she bring to this pregnancy? Who is she? What are some of her issues or concerns or fears? So, of course, we're going to talk about her past medical history. We're going to address her current state. But the most important thing is establishing a trusting relationship and really getting to what are some things that may impact her labor and birth process in terms of her relationship with her partner, her relationship with her mother. So those things to me are more important. In my practice, I'm always going to be an advocate of health and nutrition. We're going to go over her diet and do a Terry recall. I'm always going to encourage herbal and homeopathic remedies. Always going to encourage red raspberry tea, things that will tone the uterus, things that will help her overall health and well-being, like advocate for alfalfa tea, an advocate for dandelions, those things that are going to impact her kidneys and her liver. I'm an advocate for wheatgrass and barley juice. Excuse me. So nutrition is very critical in the care for women in my practice. In terms of preparing for the actual labor, I like to include optimal fetal positioning exercises, which to me are critical to helping a woman have, to avoid or prevent a lengthy labor process. So I'm going to encourage a lot more exercises, a lot more walking towards the end of the last 4 weeks of pregnancy, encouraging a lot more lovemaking, a lot more love pauses, helping the woman really connect with her emotional self, helping her take time out to talk with her unborn child and give her unborn child a name. Might not be the name she sits with, but connect with your child and validate your baby. So those are some of the things that we do, as well as others. But the most important thing is getting to know what her fears, worries, or doubts are, because those are some of the things that can pose an obstacle to the progress of the labor process.
Shay, this is not a simple process. From men's perspective, I mean, we just, we spend some time, and then 9 months later, things seem to happen magically. But this is a lot more than magic going on. I'm amazed that several of you just talked about the mother's relationship, or the childbearing mother's relationship with her mother, and family things. These issues really come out and play a part of the pregnancy.
Right. That's why it's important to actually create an adequate visit time. I try and offer women at least 1 hour for prenatal visits, because most of the time is spent discussing, talking. I spend about maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes with blood pressure checking and weight monitoring and blood drawing. The most critical part of the visit is the discussion that we have. And the discussion allows for the client to talk about whatever they feel is necessary and whatever they feel is on their mind. Because as you know, culturally, our labor and birth experience is totally different from the European woman's labor and birth experience.
I had no idea.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I had no idea of that, sister. I didn't know that culture and ethnic culture, ethnic background, and the experience. Of course, there's racism in America, and it tends to go through all aspects of our lives. But for having a child, too, for childbirth, that's completely new to me. Please elaborate. Just keep going. I'll be quiet.
Well, I want to say we have a lot more to traverse in this one-dimensional, medicalized healthcare system. I believe that we have a very power-based dynamic in the labor room. It's very gender-based and racially based. And a lot of us are not really talking about for a number of reasons. I try and discuss a lot of that with my publication. I don't know if you knew, but I wrote and published Journey to Birth, and that's a story about my journey as a midwife, and I reflect on the brave, heroic women who allowed me to guide them throughout the last 10 years of my practice, and I elaborate a little bit about the politics about this healthcare system, and try and raise awareness about how important it is to take a more critical role in choosing who your practitioner is and the setting of your labor experience. Because as you know, pregnancy is a sacred time. It's the most, to me, powerful and monumental event that occurs in a woman's life. And I believe it's very critical for African American women to take more of a powerful role, more of a decisive role, and more of an advocacy role in their experience. It's very empowering for a woman to have a very satisfying labor and birth experience. And in order to have one, you have to choose the right practitioner and the right setting. So, I felt it was very important for me to write about this to help women traverse this very complex, one-dimensional healthcare system that we have in place here. It's very confusing, and it's very fear-based. So I'm hoping that more women will read about it, and we'll have more venues such as this so that we can try and expose women to the 3 options for birth, not just one, hospital-based birth.
Yes. And would you tell us the title of your book again, sister, and a way for people who are trying to find information on which way to go and how to do it? How can people contact you? And then we're coming to the other sisters.
Well, they can contact me through my website, www.gentlespiritbirth.com. That's www.gentlespiritbirth.com. They can also contact Amazon.com or Author House for the title of my book, which is Journey to Birth. And they buy it online. But to find out about other options for labor and birth outside of the hospital, you can find that out through hiring doulas, like Nicole and the other sister, and through organizations like Choices in Childbirth, other organizations that are focused on having a more humane, dignified labor and birth experience.
Mm-hmm. I see. And now, Sister Nicole, please piggyback off of that. And I also wanted to ask you about the notion that Sister Sakina was talking about, talking to your child while still in the womb, connecting. Because I've heard about playing music to children while in the womb, and from an expert's opinion, is that stuff for real? I mean, can one actually stimulate and help develop musical abilities and other abilities by actually exposing the mother to that while she's carrying the child?
So what is, absolutely yes, right? We can influence all sorts of things by what we do, say, and experience while we are carrying our babies inside of our womb, right? So everything that a mother thinks, everything she eats, everything she breathes, not just what she's doing, but the energy around her in her home. If the home is, if she's in a household where there's a lot of violence and abuse, whether it's directly related to her being abused or not, if there's a lot of violence and abuse in her environment, that baby is feeling that violence and abuse. From a biochemical, physiological, biological standpoint, there are lots of things that are happening to us that directly impact what's happening to the baby that we are carrying. And this is very critical, particularly when we talk about the male's role, right? So if we have a household where the partner is present and he is loving and he is nurturing and he is caring and he is pampering that mom while that mom is carrying that baby, he is also sending love and energy to the baby. You can literally watch a newborn right out of the womb almost if the father has had constant communication with that baby while that baby was being carried. When that father speaks, that baby knows the father's voice as well as that baby knows the mother's voice. And so we have to begin talking to our children, sending our children positive energy, love, and vibes while they're in utero, because it is during that time that their brains are really, really being developed. And so we have to understand that, yes, indeed. Now, it's not about playing Mozart to your children to necessarily create, more brain synapses and the brain's going to get bigger and all that based on the fact that you played Mozart. I'm not saying that it has to be that type of thing. But we do understand that listening to music with our children, with our babies, just the same way that you want to raise your children as they're growing up. You want to communicate with them, right? You want to experience different things with them in a loving give and take manner. The same thing with our children in utero. It can be a little strange for people to talk to their bellies and feel like, what's happening. But if we understand that as we become pregnant, we are now carrying an ancestor, bringing forth that life, as you call it, into the third dimension, right? So if we understand that we have called forth that ancestor has entered into us and is going to come out of us, that inside of us, right, as we're carrying that ancestor is connected to us. And it's communicating. And here's the thing. The communication actually happens both ways. The baby's in utero. If a mother is in tune, that baby is also communicating with that mother. So there is a two-way communication that's happening. And I think that it is becoming more and more critical that we continue to share this and talk about this and talk about different ways to get connected. And as Sister Sakina mentioned, there is certainly more than one way and more than one place to have your baby. So what has to happen is, regardless of your insurance, regardless of your ability to pay out of pocket, regardless of where you're going to birth, you have to surround yourself with the individuals, be it your family members, be it an outside birth sister, be it a midwife. You need to surround yourself with the individuals who can surround you in the supportive, loving environment that you need to give the best nurturing environment for this baby and for you as an individual. So if you have to deal with some of the things like issues with your mother, issues with your father, issues from a previous birth experience, right? So now you found Sakina, you're like, yes, I'm going to birth at home, and she's a wonderful midwife, and we're having this experience. But your previous experience was a hospital birth where you felt tortured and abused. You have to deal with that so that you can move forward in this successful relationship with Sister Sakina in your home birth. And that's the difference. If you notice, she mentioned that her visits are at a minimum an hour long. Right? So even when I do a home visit as a birth sister, my visits are 1 to 2 hours long, because even as this woman's doula, I want to see her be successful in her process. So I understand, and they fully will even admit, I'm glad that you're here, because my visit at the doctor's office was 10 minutes. That 10 minutes is the time that Sister Sakina shared when you're measuring the belly and dipping the urine and checking the weight. There is a whole lot of information that needs to be shared that cannot be shared in a 10 or 15-minute office visit. So all of this stuff is critical, and it is important that women surround themselves with a team of individuals who can help create the necessary environment for them to work through their issues and to really experience the birth that is necessary for their healing and to bring their baby into this world in that loving environment.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Go ahead, please.
I just want to say, Nicole, Mama, I really, and this is Sakina, I just want to especially, applaud your work, because it really is, we are really doing the work of the mothers, because it really is a healing journey and a rite of passage for this woman, whether it be your first baby or whether it be your fifth baby. Each soul is entering with a different vibration. So the mother has to take the journey, as Mama Sakina said, that it is a journey. It's a journey to birth. It's a journey to your own revelation of yourself and revealing who you are in spirit. So it's a rite of passage for the woman, and I think it's our role, whether we're midwives, whether we're midwives or birth sisters, we are taking the sister on a journey to be empowered, to be able to know that after this, no matter what they do, they have a force greater than themselves that is going to back them. That they can do whatever's in their spirit, they have the power to see it through, because they have entered this rite of passage and they have entered the other side of that. So we really do take them on a spiritual journey and become the mother for them during that period. And it's a beautiful exchange, because they also heal us. What I love about this work is the exchange that I personally receive. It's the exchange for me, because as a woman who's never had children, I'm very humbled by the power that it takes for a woman to bring forth a child. I'm very humbled by the fact that a woman is able to give up themselves and allow their body to be a vessel and a house for this new ancestor coming. Yep. This is very, very powerful and glorious role. I have personally not experienced that. And so I am a humble child. So this mother comes to teach me. And through the entire process, the main theme is love. So therefore, if a woman has a relationship with their family, heal those wounds and take them on this journey, a journey into birth. It's like they have to go through a birth canal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we help to facilitate that. We help to hold our hands through the birth canal that they have to enter their own healing so that they can have better relationships with their mothers and their grandmothers and their husbands and their partners. So it is a journey and it's a rite of passage. And what an honor to have the privilege to be able to help the sisters go through their own birth passage. Mm-hmm.
Ashe. You know, I was listening to Sister Nicole just a moment ago explain some things, and it dawned on me, all the mothers I've been around, I very rarely ever ask anything about, so how was that birth experience? Or, you know, you have a mother here who has a few kids, and as a guy, I never ask, well, so how was, you know, my mom is always trying to tell me about her pregnancy when she was having me, you know, and it dawned on me that these pregnancies are different. They are unique. Each of those kids that a woman has, you know, we brothers, I think it would help us understand the sisters quite a bit more if we realized the rite of passage that they go through, like you said, Iya, with each and every kid, and perhaps, you know, find out. Because, you know, there's a lot of talk in the community about, you know, some parents prefer, you know, one kid more than another, and we think we know why. But we never think about that whole journey, that whole experience, what was going on in her life. So I'll shut up, but I want to ask a couple of questions and ask you all to each go with it. First, this is such an incredible process. There are things, I'm sure, that sisters can do even before they get pregnant, become pregnant, that can help their pregnancy. Are there classes? Are there books? Are there classes and books? And I'm sure eating habits and stress-related things. And then once they become pregnant, we men, we play a part in this process. Everybody plays a part in the process, but we men particularly play a part in the process. I know there's a lot of couples that tend to break up. Well, let's say it like this. A lot of men tend to leave the scene after the pregnancy is announced. And, you know, what I'm sure that has a very negative effect. What can we men do during the pregnancy that helps? And the word ritual, this show is very concerned with traditional spirituality. What rituals can we develop as African American men as a spiritual ritual that will coincide with the pregnancy to make things go better, to bring in a form of fatherhood to us through spirituality? So, Sister Nicole Deggins, if you would start, Iya Sula, if you would continue and elaborate, especially about this notion of tradition, this notion of ritual, and then Sister Sakina, if you would just come in and just talk on that and anything else that you think that is important in that process and for us to know. And I'll just shut up, take my ink pen, and make as many notes as possible.
Okay, so I think it's a really great thing to ask, you know, what do we need to do before we even become pregnant? So I'll speak in two different spaces. The first space is just a physiological, medical side, right? If you guys guys, ladies, get it together. If you want to lose weight, lose some weight. If you have high blood pressure, figure that out, right? If you have ails and ailments and illnesses, keep yourself healthy physically. Do you need to be fasting? Do you need to be detoxing, cleansing? Whatever you got to do to get your body in optimal physical health, do that. Next thing is you want to understand that once you become pregnant, your time is almost, you're ready to deliver, right? You find out you're pregnant, you're already 8 weeks pregnant, and you're already well into your pregnancy. So I tell women to begin, whether you're planning to get pregnant or not, I always ask a woman, are you in a relationship where you are participating in heterosexual intercourse? If you are, if the answer is yes, then I don't care what kind of birth control you may be using. If you are a woman participating in heterosexual intercourse, you can become pregnant. With that in mind, you need to understand, number one, that we have to begin as a community becoming much more intentional, men and women, about who we share our life force energy with. If we became more intentional, conscientious, and cognizant about that, we wouldn't have, as you mentioned, Brother Wole, these brothers who impregnate and then leave, right? Because if we are intentional in a space of understanding that each and every time we decide to physically have love, intercourse with a person, and we share our life with that person, and there is an opportunity, we have opened up the portal to allow an ancestor to come through. So when we make those decisions, we have to be very clear that that's what we're participating in. And I think if we begin to remember that and understand that really what it means, then we will begin to create life in a whole different spiritual space, which will change how we become pregnant, how we feel about the pregnancies, and how we move forward in our pregnancy. So in terms of before pregnancy,
Hello?
Hello? I think we lost Sister Deggins. Sister Deggins, if you would just redial the number and then dial 1 to get into the host queue, and we'll get you right back. Iya Sula, please continue. Any way and where you think is important at that point.
Well, I think if we deal with ceremony and ritual for the families, let's start with breathing. I think that's really important. This is something that I do with my families, that try to teach ceremony and meditation that will help to reconnect things when unchecked fear or terror comes up, when arguments arise or confusion may arise in the family. We talk about different tools that can lessen those things or stop that type of energy before it escalates. Oftentimes, we don't know the tools because we've lost our spiritual tool bag as we cross the water. Some of us did not pick up our spiritual tool bag to take with us. We don't often know how to stop those entities when they come. So what I do sometimes with my families is we go through a breathing ritual, because we understand as spiritual people that the breath is life. And when we take in the holy breath, that usually just brings the energy down and unifies the force and creates a cyclical exchange of beauty and love and peace. So what I do with what I may do with the families is have mother and father face each other and breathe collectively, taking 7 deep breaths for Yemaya. As the mother comes and the 7 deep breaths come, they're looking at each other, and whatever needs to be said, words are not used, but the words are being said to the spirit and to the eyes. So that's one technique that is used. When energy gets escalated, we have to pick up our spiritual tool bag and know that there's power in the touch. So if, Papa is acting a little bit, his energy is a little bit raised, Mama has the power. She can put her hand on his shoulder without saying a word, and the energy will come down. Father has the same energy. When there is respect and love there, nothing has to get escalated. They understand the power of the holy and healing touch. So I suggest, that people use the power of the touch and just have a signal, create signals with each other. And this goes not only in the families that are in labor or families that are expecting, but this is also for relationships across the globe with anyone you're dealing with. Oftentimes, energy is escalated because we don't have our tools to be able to know how to redirect the energy, if you will. So, it really is about Mama Sakina, about the gentle spirit. That is really what the mother embodies, and that is really the mystery of birth, the mystery of harmony in family. Is that gentle spirit, which sometimes we don't know how to access.
Shay. Sister Nicole Deggins is back. Sister, you were flowing, and I was enjoying it and taking a whole bunch of notes. But please continue, and then we'll come right to you, Sister Sakina.
You know what? I can't even continue from where I was. So I'll pass it to Sister Sakina. But I just want to definitely bring the point forward that we have to begin to prepare for pregnancy before we are pregnant. That's learning your options. We talked about there's 3 different places to birth. You can birth at home, you can birth in the birth center, you can birth in the hospital. Learn about that before you're pregnant. Listen to this call. If you are on this, if you're listening to the call right now, and you're a sister or brother, and you don't have children, and you know people in your same scenario, share this information today so that tomorrow it's not too late. And as Sister Sula was just talking about our relationships, like she said, this is for all relationships, not just once you're pregnant, right? So that we have to begin learning how to function and operate in relationships, in community with one another before we're pregnant. That will be very critical and key. The stuff about health, we all know to get healthy, right, before you get pregnant, but we have to do some healing work so that we can really change our birth outcome.
Yes, Mom. Right.
Well, I would say Ashe to Nicole and Iyasua. You guys are really on point. I would also like to just say that birth is about balance and addressing what to do before you become pregnant is critical, as Nicole said, preparing and planning. But I also want to say this, that we have an innate ability to birth, and believing, affirming, and understanding that is really important. And I think so many women don't believe that because we've been taught and indoctrinated to believe that we do not have the innate ability to birth. It is in our DNA. But getting back to actually preparing before you get pregnant, well, I would say, of course, focusing on nutrition. The other elements, though, is really switching your heart once you become pregnant. Okay, you did the nutrition. Okay, you read the book. You reached out and bought Ina May's book and listened to Me Good and hopefully my book and others. You really need to search your heart. What do you really feel would help you create the type of setting, the type of labor and birth experience that would bring you the most joy, the most satisfaction? What would be the most empowering, the most sacred labor experience for you? And try to create that through making the right decisions about what it is that brings you joy. And in order to do that, you must know who you are. You must reflect about who am I? What brings me joy? So it takes a lot of self-reflection, looking in the mirror and understanding who you are as a person and as a woman, and who are you as a couple and as a team. Who is your man or your partner? Who is that person, and who does that person mean to you? What are you guys trying to achieve? Having said that, I encourage most of my couples to purchase or to engage and participate in a home birth prep course. Home birth prep course, i.e. childbirth prep course, and I don't really like to use that word, childbirth prep course. I prefer home birth prep course because it is certainly different from what we've been indoctrinated to believe. So we have to change the way in which we think, because we're nurtured and indoctrinated to believe in the hospital birth, and then it's painful, and we must do this, and we must lay on our back, and we got So that's why I say my clients have to have a home birth prep course. because it's about rethinking the whole process, and it's about emotionally preparing, because you will be transformed as a woman, as a father, as a man, and as a couple. So it's about preparing in that way. Once those things are done, also acknowledging, validating by affirmation, meditation, yoga, that part of what you mentioned, Nicole, about healing. The healing starts when you begin to affirm. The healing starts when you begin to meditate, when you begin to control your breath and know your breath through yoga, through meditation. So all of that is important as well. In terms of the role of the man, the partner, men, partners represent strength and support. In order to support your woman, the expectant mother, adequately is knowing who you are and also knowing who she is. How can I support my woman? How does she want me to support her? What do I do for her when she is in pain or suffering or not optimally at her best? How does she want me to support her? Am I listening to how she wants me to support her, or am I supporting her in the way that I think she wants to be supported? So it's knowing her. Is she the type of woman that likes to be touched in labor when she's in pain, or does she want to be left alone in the corner praying, affirming? So it's getting to know who the individuals that are involved in this process and how best we can support them. So having said all of that, a well-rested, well-hydrated woman goes into labor. A well-nourished woman goes into labor. A woman who is fearless. A woman who does not have doubt and worry. And how do we try and address those things and reduce worry, fear, and doubt? Through affirmation, through meditation, through addressing the fear, through trying to process it. And in doing so, we must allow for time to do that. We must create the space so the woman can feel comfortable enough communicating and verbalizing those things to you. So all of what Ia's been saying and Nicole's been saying, all of it to me is so vitally important. But we must begin to understand that birth is about balance, and it is about patience. So it does take time to understand the expectant mother. I know I said a lot, and I'm just trying to get it all out because I know that it's about communicating, and it's about getting everybody to understand what it is to be pregnant and how best to prepare for this wonderful, celebratory, monumental event. So in closing, for me, I'm not sure if this program has ended, but I think it's really important to just address the importance of all of the options and all of the settings that are available to women to birth in, and how vitally important it is for them to become the most important member of this birth team.
And Brother Role, if I can just piggyback real quick, I think it is so powerful. She talked about the mindset, right? That this is in our DNA. And I think we are in a space of fear-based tactics have been used for so long to make us believe that we are incapable of birthing. And so even women who want to have a natural birth, they will say, I'm going to try, or I think I'm going to. It's like, know that you know that you know that you know, and that you have the ability, because that's real. That's that mindset thing, and really understanding, and the partner needs to be supportive of that concept. So if you have a woman who really wants this experience, but the man involved is fearful, or he's afraid, and he in his manness feels like I cannot protect us in a home birth environment, and he feels uneasy, we have to help him work through that so that he can be supportive of this experience. Because if he's in a fear space, then that can shift the birthing environment.
Right. Yeah.
Great. That's great. Sisters, we have approximately 14 minutes left of talking time on the show today, and I'm not going to use up much of that rambling myself. There were a couple of, I wanted to see if we could do some kind of, how do you say, where rapid fire things, because there are a couple of areas I wanted to touch on. We don't really have time to elaborate. So how about if I throw out a couple of things, you all throw back some information, and then I'll give you all each some time to wrap up. Sounds cool?
Sure, sounds fine.
Okay. How about the notion of age where childbirth is concerned? When is it a problem? When is age a problem, and when is it not a problem? And how can we make it less of a problem?
I would like to speak on the age piece. I think that there's some definite medical, concerns, but I think that the ancestors are going to come through whatever vessel the ancestors come through. It's just the way it is. I mean, I think that we can get caught up in age and all of that, but I think the ancestors are going to come. If they're going to come, they're going to come.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Right.
And I will piggyback this. I was just going to say, age becomes the issue when it becomes an issue for that woman in her mind. Speaking as a woman who is in the process of pregnancy planning at the age of 41, and I have no doubt that I will bring forth a healthy full-term baby with an uneventful pregnancy, birth, and delivery, right? So when I believe that, it happens to me. So.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, I second that, because age doesn't become a problem until it becomes a problem, meaning age in itself is not restrictive unless age is accompanied by hypertension or age is accompanied by diabetes. But age by itself is never and has never presented itself to me as an issue or a problem unless it's restrictive to attach to it.
Ashe, and I think you touched on my second little question, family background, maybe family health background. When even for a younger person more in the 20s or whatever like that, when does family health background become a reasonably serious issue so that a person may think about, well, it might be safer not to have a child, not to have another child or whatever?
Well, this is Sakina. For me, your family history becomes a problem when it is diagnosed as a problem.
Right. Yeah.
And it will remain a part of that person's history. It will become relevant or an issue or an obstacle when there is physical presence, when there is a sign, when there is evidence. If there is no evidence, then it remains a part of the history, i.e., because your dad had hypertension, your dad had hypertension.
Yeah.
Unless you now have evidence of hypertension, it no longer is. It will never be a problem unless it is an obvious sign, symptom, diagnosed problem. It has to be evidence-based. I'm sorry?
Everybody agrees with that assessment?
Yes. I could say me. This is Nicole. Yes. And I think that we get very caught up in this notion of risk, be that age, be that disease, be that whatever it is. We get caught up in this notion of risk. And if I believe the textbook, and that means that every black woman walking around America is at risk. Everybody's at risk for something. And so until that issue manifests itself, as Sister Sakina said, with the evidence to be true for you, it doesn't matter that your mother had high blood pressure. Do you have high blood pressure? No. Okay, great. Let's next question. Let's keep moving. So, yeah.
But I would also add it should matter to you as an individual.
Yes.
My dad had kidney disease. So how am I going to conduct myself in terms of my lifestyle and my nutrition diet? So if you're thinking in terms of prep work as a woman and you have that history, then you may want to stay away from certain foods so that you don't increase your risk for high blood pressure or diabetes. So you have healthier lifestyle. So sure that you're eating foods that have low glycemic level. You're eating foods that have lower salt content and not, fast food. So you have to be more conscious, yes, if you're looking to prepare in a more healthier way for your pregnancy because of the family history.
Yes. And I just want to say to Sula, I just want to say, Mama, I really want to expound a little bit on the meditation piece, because I think that it's really about what you want to accept in your DNA. For example, if cancer runs in my family, if I sit up here and say, oh my God, cancer runs in my family, and I'm, if I continue to say the mantra that this runs in my family and I'm going to get it too, well then, those are things, any disease first manifests as an emotional imbalance, and then it manifests in the body as something that's physical. So it really goes back to the wellness of mind, body, and spirit, diet, meditation, calling on the Holy Mothers, saying that because five generations of my people have had diabetes, I am claiming that I will not have that. I am claiming that this body will be well. So my mantra will be, I am healthy, I am well, I am filled with life. All is perfect. And so if the mind begins to change and the cells can change and always remain well. And so it really is about the meditation, as Mama Sakina said, Mama Nicole said. It really is about mind, body, and spirit wellness. And I think we're all on the same page to say that one really can't function independently without having the whole wheel turn. And that's part of what we do as birth workers, to help, raise the awareness for our sisters and for ourselves. It really is about the full total wellness.
Weed, marijuana, it's a big part of many of our lifestyles. Does it really help? Does it really hurt? Can a pregnant woman continue smoking it if she's a smoker? Anybody can jump in there.
This is Nicole. I'll give my personal opinion on it. I think that there are a lot of people who see marijuana as it comes from the earth, it's a plant, so on and so forth. If that's what you do what you do. Here's what I feel. I mean, if people use it for morning sickness, they use it for relaxation. People have smoke throughout labor. It depends on that person. My biggest concern comes from the fact that many people smoke marijuana and blunt wrappers, which means that you are also actually smoking nicotine. We know for sure that nicotine and the things that are accompanying cigarettes are deadly for our bodies and for our babies. So I think that if a woman chooses to engage in smoking marijuana during her pregnancy, that she needs to be very mindful of how she's ingesting that marijuana and where it's coming from, what is in it, what has it been laced with or not laced with, did she grow it herself? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's very conscientious of how she's smoking it and where she's getting it from.
Right.
Ashe. So look, we have 6 minutes left of airtime, of talk time. Why don't you all take 2 minutes apiece, give your closing statements, and if you just have to take 3, we have an extra minute or so for that. Sister Deggins, should you start? Sister Sakina, and then let's wrap up with you, Sula.
All right. I just want to say it has been an honor and a pleasure to be on this call today with these two phenomenal sisters. I hope that everyone out there is getting some information that they need. If you are interested in any of my work, you can find me online at sistamidwife.com, SISTA midwife.com. My goal really, one of my strong points, because I have worked in so many hospitals across the country, when I do my education courses and my classes and my webinars, I really bring you inside information. I'm going to tell you the truth about what's really happening in the hospital. So if you really want to know, if you're planning a birth in the hospital or you have confusion about what's the best option for you, or you feel like you don't have a choice because of insurance or whatever to go to the hospital to birth, you've got to get connected to me to get this information before you go to the hospital so that you can learn how to maneuver through that maze. It is a maze. It is with fear-based fear-mongering that they're doing to women, and you are not to be a victim of their tactics. of what they're doing. We are born to do this work. You are born to be the mother that you will be. So know that you have the strength and the power. Reach out to me. I would love to work with anybody who has questions, particularly around the hospital birth situation. That's where I really have a lot of strong information. So that's me. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook me, all that stuff. Love it. Thank you. Love y'all.
Well, this is Sakina Oyuhuru, and I just want to say birth is about balance. Birth is about having less fear and more patience. And my practice, Gentle Spirit Home Birth Midwifery Service, is about forging trusting relationships that allow women the freedom to dictate how they want to have their birth. It's about empowering you and helping you find your true voice. My practice is culturally competent. We offer passionate, sensitive health care that addresses the needs of each woman. And we focus on helping you to find your inner voice that will help you connect with your true self. www.gentlespiritbirth.com. Gentle Spirit Birth, Home Birth Midwifery, Sakina Oyuhuru.
And this is Doula the Doula. I just want to say, dear sisters, what an honor to be with you. What an honor to share in this sacred space with you. What an honor to be from the same sacred village, because clearly we have come from the heavenly realm to do this work, and we've all made a contract, a soul contract with the Mother to make sure that we keep our energy on the planet. So I salute all of you on your work. I thank you so much for the work. I specialize in sacred songs, sacred birth songs. I also specialize in sacred meditations during birth for not only the mothers, but for the fathers and the families. I believe in resurrecting the sacred village birth. I believe in bringing the sacred music back. I believe in bringing our ancestral altars back. I believe in bringing the sacred grandmothers back into the room. If anybody would like to work with me, I can be reached at www.Nazaya, Nazya Doulas. I'm the director of the Nazaya Doula Collective. We work as independent doulas at this time, and we all come to bring the sacred medicine and the sacred love of the mother to the birth rooms. So it is my honor and my privilege to be with each of you. Wole, I want to thank you, my brother. We've known each other in the community for some time. I want to thank you for your dedication, not only in the spirit world, but particularly with the mothers. I thank you. So we say, I love all of you sisters. My sister, please kiss the ground in New York for me, and I love you.
Will do.
I love you, Mom. And this is what we do. I'm just honored to be in this sacred pool with all of you.
Ashe.
Ashe. And I want to thank you all. This is the best show. This is the best, most meaningful show that we've had so far. And I expect it to remain the best, most meaningful show that we have for quite some time. Asheo and Adupueo to all of you sisters. And we like to thank our guests once again for participating on this special show in honor of the mother, Yemaya. Special panel of guests, Sister Iya Sula Janet Evans. Sister Sula, you will always be an Iya on this show.
I say, brother, I just humbly stand as Sula. So I thank you for your respect, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you for your humbleness and your work, sister. And of course, Sister Nicole Deggins. Everyone can tell that she is doing quite a lot, and you are a valued member of our community. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And then all the way up on the East Coast, where our illustrious Chief Jegna is getting ready to have a presentation up in Brooklyn at the bookstore. Sister Sakina Uhura. Sister, you spread love, information, and joy, and hope for brothers like me to try to do a better job in the future today. And we all thank you. The sisters' contact information will be listed in the comment section of the page that we're all on right now at the bottom. It's not up yet, but it will be up by very soon. So please get in touch with these sisters, access their works, and let's try to make the community a better place in a real serious way. So we invite you all to join us here again next Saturday, next Sunday, and each Sunday after that at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock noon Central Standard Time, and of course 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another enriching installment of the Anu Asafo Show, where Pan-Africanism meets African traditional spirituality with me, Brother Ole Mango Ifa. Next week's show will be dedicated to the issue of homosexuality within the Pan-African and African traditional spiritual communities. And that show will feature an interview from our leader, Yuya Asan Anu, and the Jegna will be interviewing a very special guest who embodies that dichotomy in his own life. So you don't want to miss that show. Very controversial topic, but I think it'll be a very educational experience on top of that. We are not zealots. We are not fundamentalists. We're students. So for our esteemed Chief Jegna, Haru Yuya Asan Anu, the entire Anu Nation and Spiritual Order, and the staff of the Anu Asafo Show, Sister Omilade Anu, and me, Brother Wole Mango Ifa, we would like to thank you all for your attendance today, and particularly to the mother of the fish for all that you do. Mother Iya, Mother Yeye, Yemaya. And we'd just like to say Odabo and see you next week, family.
We thank you for your listening support and urge you to become an active participating member. For all those listening, if you'd like to gain a clearer and fundamental understanding of the Anu Order, be sure to pick up the book, Grasping the Root of Divine Power. To find out how you can become a student and member of the Anu Spiritual Order, please visit us at saduluhouse.com. That is saduluhouse.com. Also, if you would like spiritual readings and assistance in your life as it pertains to your spiritual well-being and your divine purpose, please use the contact and scheduling forms to schedule a consultation with our Chief Jegna, Haru Yuya Asan Anu. Those forms are located at orishareligion.com. That is orishareligion.com, as well as are at saduluhouse.com. Also, sign up for the Anu newsletter for the latest happenings in the Anu community. The newsletter can be found by going to anunation.org. That is ANUNATION.org. If you'd like to become an on-air guest or sponsor on Anu Asafo or any of our other broadcasts, please be sure to contact us at questions@anunation.org. That is the word questions@anunation.org. Thank you for your continued support, and be well.